Hi there, it's Lori at Positive Thanks Living. It's the second week of hashtag Faith Journal July 2025. It's a collaboration, and there are videos every day talking about different scriptures. Here's the first one I did last week. And the reason I'm doing small journals is so that I don't get overwhelmed. This is the second small journal, and it's showing the second week of the scriptures. And we're going to decorate or go through the fifth day of this week. I've done the others so far. It's a wonderful collaboration. I'm learning a lot. It's interesting. Debbie, one of the hosts, she has a phrase that has stuck with me. The more you look, the more you see. And that's so true in Scripture. So true. I used Brad there to hold that little tag on. Now, these are actually envelopes. They're from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to show you at the end of this video how I constructed the journal. But in the meantime, this is how I'm decorating it. And I have these instructions that came with the plan for the challenge. And I put them into the pockets that are made by using the envelope. I have a digital that you can download. The link will be in the description of this video. It includes that image of a vine and branch and fruit. And if you walk through John 15, you'll understand why I chose that image, that symbol. I have these little pre-made tags, and I'm using them in the journal along with the distress oxide. It's mariner. There's another word that goes with it. And the thing is on the right of the where I'm working. And I'm using that and vintage photo, depending upon how it goes. I made those clusters in Tuesday's video. It's a quiet ASMR video where I just put the clusters together. No voiceover, just crafting and the sound of a little tabletop fountain. So there's the scripture for this week. And I've cut apart some of the words that came with the study, challenge study. And I have that image along with the decoration on the envelopes. At the end of this video, as I mentioned, I'll show you how I put them on. It's different than what you might expect. It's my go-to when I want to put a napkin on something, and it's not with a glue stick. These here are offcuts from 1890s encyclopedia pages that I've glued together. The paper is so fragile. It feels like if you look at it, it breaks. And you're going to see, sure enough, even though it's been glued together, it breaks. Glue it back on. So I'm finding ways to use up these bits and pieces, and this journal is one of them. I've embossed the offcut. It's the paper has been folded over itself a number of times and glued on each level. But regardless, the integrity of the paper is gone, non-existent. So gluing it to another substrate is necessary to make use of it. That's what we do in junk journaling, right? And I'm determined to use up all the little scraps that I have. Stash. And that's where the video, and I've made a hashtag for the idea. It's Torn Paper Tuesday. If you'd like to join me, I invite you to make something with torn paper on Tuesdays. Use the hashtag and I'll see if I can find you and I'll cheer you on. I did that. That's the video. It's on this channel. And I'm using up what I have so that, yeah, we can make pretty things instead of letting it sit in a box somewhere. Have the edges like this with the offcuts, and I glue them on so that I can still use the brad style closure. I'm covering up the area that doesn't have any napkin on it. How are you doing? Are you well? I hope so. Because you matter. If nobody's told you that this week, today, you matter. How you feel, what you do, you matter. You have been made on purpose, and you have a purpose. So, if you have a chance and you aren't doing this yet, this challenge, I recommend it. The resources available to buy on Etsy, I'll link it below. It's a very interesting experience exploring joy from a biblical perspective as opposed to a just everyday life kind of experience. Joy in our everyday lives is fleeting, it comes and goes. I think Debbie, she's one of the hosts, she made a comment about, I think it was her, about how biblical joy, joy from God, it's like a calm delight. And that really struck me because sometimes we think joy is this exuberant, over the top, wow, I feel wonderful kind of thing. But it doesn't last, does it? It's wonderful while when it happens and it's great and we all enjoy it, but it doesn't last. And that's the difference between joy that comes from God as opposed to our regular joy. The joy that comes from God, from His personhood, who He is, it is a calm delight. It almost seems like an oxymoron, doesn't it? Those two words don't match. I'm learning a lot from this, and it's the second week, so there are 2 more weeks to go. The way the collaboration is working is Monday through Friday, there is a different collaborator who makes a video and talks about their perspective of the verse that they have for that day. And then on Saturday, the two hosts, Debbie and Diane, they lead a recap. And Sunday is happens on Sunday, except of course we all, if we choose, spend some time with the Lord in whatever manner we choose. So yeah, I look forward to the last 2 weeks and more scripture on joy. I write every morning in a journal just for myself. One page is for gratitude, giving thanks to the Lord, and the next page is, like the opposite page, is what I'm praying for, who I'm praying for, etc. And the reason I bring it up is on the bottom of each page, and it repeats itself probably every 6 or 7 pages. It's a scripture. And initially, I didn't care for the journal because I thought, ugh, I want a new journal each day. I don't want to keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But it's been a valuable experience to reread the same 7 or 8 scriptures over and over for more than a year now. And they're really have a different meaning according to what's happening in my life at that moment in time. What I'm giving thanks for, what I'm deep in prayer about. So going through these journals, these small ones that I'm choosing to make, the scripture, I imagine I'm going to do it more than once because each time As Debbie says, the more you look, the more you see. I just like that. That I told my husband that. I told Rob about that concept, and yeah, we discussed that for a while. So there we go. There's the page for Friday. Happy Friday. Or whenever you're watching this, I wish you a happy day. I wish you joy in the Lord, lasting joy, calm delight. And that's the back. Again, another clusters that I made in the Torn Paper Tuesday video. Back, on the front, and in the middle. I have two more. And if you'd like this digital that has the different joys and the different scripture and the little image, the link will be in the description. These are the envelopes. They're from Dollar Tree, and they're the smaller envelope. And you can see the color. I wasn't particularly happy with the color, but yeah, I knew I could change it, which I did. And that's what I'm going to show you next. In a way, I'm doing this backward, as opposed to starting at the very beginning of showing you the journal. I'm deconstructing it in a sense. So there were 3 envelopes in this little one for the second week. And this is the napkin. It's a really odd, it was my mother's. It came from her apartment when I cleaned it out in 2020. And it's been sitting in a box. And I'm using things up. And I've attached it to the envelopes, and I'll show you how very soon. But first I have to remove the floppy bits. I debated leaving them on, but nah, it just didn't. It seemed like it would be more trouble than what the joy of the experience of the floppy bits would be. This is a water pen, and it works with varying results. Press down on the tip and the water flows into the spongy tip. And when it becomes dry, then you press down again to feed it more water. The barrel that's in my hand has the water in it. So, and I'm just tearing the excess away. I wonder what kind, I must be paper, this napkin, but it's not like your regular napkins that we use all the time. Would it be rice paper? I don't think so. I have a set of this design, and of course I use the image again because of the scripture. And it changes the color of the envelope a little bit. And now you know because you watched me decorate. I covered up the corners with the napkin is scalloped, so I covered up the corners with the 1890s encyclopedia paper. So that's how it works. Obviously use the hole punch to open the hole that was covered with. I've sped this part up quite a bit. I figured it's self-explanatory what I'm doing. I'm a slow crafter, I realize. I do this to relax. I do this as a meditative experience. But it's not always necessary to see the time it takes to do something on a video. There we go. We've got all 3 of the envelopes covered, and the edges are gone. And now I'm going to bind them together with a unique way of binding. I've done it the last 2 journals, and I'm really enjoying this no-sew binding method. You can see the strip of envelope that I took apart to the right under the scissor, and I cut strips off 1.5 inches, but you could make it as wide as you wanted. I'm trying to decide which envelope goes which way. That's what I was doing there. Anyhow, I cut strips off and I fold them in half, and then I attach the strip, one side of the half to one envelope, other side of the half strip to the other envelope, and that creates a binding. So here I am cutting it off at 1.5 inches, and that was arbitrary. I knew this was going to be a small journal, and so I didn't need as much surface area to attach as I did in larger journals. So this is worked in a large journal with a lot of heavy stuff in it, and it worked beautifully in this little journal. It's fun trying new ways of putting together journals. For the longest time, I did the 3-hole pamphlet stitch on everything, but I never quite was happy with the front or the back pages wouldn't lie flat easily because of the amount of pages either at the front or the back. And this, every page lies flat. So you see, I've glued on using Fabri-Tac the one side of the strip, and I make sure that it's secure with bone folder. I cut the excess at the top off and then attach the the other half of the strip, again with Fabri-Tac, and line up the next envelope so that it fits. I do my best to keep it equal, like at the top and the bottom and at the back, with varying amount of success. This one wasn't as successful as the others that I'd made, which is odd because, I only have 3 envelopes I'm attaching. But for some reason, the middle one is slightly askew, but it doesn't hurt the integrity of the binding. No problem at all. I'll show you one more time. Process. And again, this is sped up 2 times, I think, the amount of time it took me. You get the idea. It's not a difficult concept. It's just different. And I'm trying to make sure that everything is okay. That little corner was sticking and I couldn't figure out why. Putting together the last envelope. So 3 envelopes then gave me 5 inside pages, as you saw at the beginning of the video. Again, I'm doing this backwards, but, well, you understand why, I think. I had recorded this earlier in the week before I started the study. Next week, for my 3rd week journal, because this one will be full, I'm going to make a 3rd small journal, and I'm going to try a different way of putting a journal together. So you'll have to wait till then to find out. Fabri-Tac. So fast. It almost looks funny how fast I've got it going. In the next segment, I'm going to show you how I attach napkin to the envelope. And it's not the normal way. I learned this from a YouTube video of a person who was making a wooden plaque for the wall. And I thought, I wonder if it'll work for paper. And sure enough, it works really well. Now this is an envelope that has been cut apart, and both sides have Fabri-Tac, Mod Podge on it. I put Mod Podge on the entire thing, one side, and then I let it dry completely. And then once it completely is dry, I put the napkin over top, and I use an iron. I cover it up with parchment paper, both sides, bottom and top, to protect my iron. But the heat from the iron activates the Mod Podge and makes the two surfaces stick together beautifully. It's really fun. And if one starts coming off, like it does here, like, oh, what? And I didn't let the heat sit enough. It didn't activate the Mod Podge long enough. So I go back, I keep going, I go over it again, I'm holding it down longer than you'd think, because remember, this is fast forwarded, and until it's reactivated. And because I have the parchment paper, it doesn't burn. I imagine if I'd just sort of let it sit there, it would burn, but I don't. But you understand the concept. So that's how I attach the napkin to the envelopes. Cool, huh? Again, don't forget you can get this digital for free. The link is below. And check out my other video. It's no talking, just me making these clusters, the clusters that I used in this week's journal. This is hashtag Faith Journal July 2025. And it's a collaboration with a bunch of creators. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you very much. If you're interested, I would love it if you'd subscribe. Take care. See you again. Bye for now. It's Lori at Positive Thanks Living.